Hello everyone, this is Korosh Erfani and today is Wednesday, June 24th, 2026. I think we are in the third or fourth day of summer. The summer has just started and we have already the first signs of a new era. This new era is called climate apocalypse. I know the term is very scary and could be frightening a lot of people, but we are talking about something that has been predicted and expected. So that's why, as opposed to the famous meaning of apocalypse, something that will surprise us. For example, here we are going through a new kind of apocalypse, the one that we have created, the one that we made actually, right? And now we have just started to have it, right? And from now on we have to go through it. What are the particularities of this apocalypse? Now, let's start with the breaking news. As you know, we had a very violent earthquake in Venezuela. As you can see, two waves of earthquake in a row, back to back, right, came in that country with the magnitude of unbelievable 7.2 and then 7.5. Yeah, or the first one 7.5 and the second one 7.2. So that's one of the most violent earthquake in Venezuela or even in the region. And as you can see now, it's a matter of several of dozen or hundreds of injured and killed people. So we are just a few hours after that. We don't have any death toll that is fixed, but most probably it will be rising. As you can see in the different image, one of them is behind me. The damage is really, really bad and considerable. So immediately after that, we got another earthquake with a power of 6.23 magnitude in North Japan, right? And of course, now for the Venezuela, the people even are expecting for a tsunami. All right. We have said already that one of the features of the climate change is to intensifying the extreme weather event or natural event or natural disaster, intensifying, which means that this is not the climate change that is causing maybe the earthquake, but of course it's reinforcing that, right? Empowering, enabling nature in order to be most powerful when it comes to these different extreme weather events, right? Or natural events, we can say. So the climate change has this particularity of getting the planet warmer and warmer, right? So the heat is rising, and the earth, or the ecosystem is like any other living being. It needs effectively breathing, right? Inhalation and exhalation. And when we create effectively this bubble, thanks to emitting a lot of carbon dioxide, right? We create effectively a bubble over there, and this bubble will exemplify a kind of suffocating earth, right? The earth cannot breathe anymore. Breathing means getting effectively heat and sending it back. But when we touch the substance of the ozone layer, effectively, now there is no this possibility. The heat comes, right? The sunlight brings heat on the planet, but when the Earth wants to send it back in order to get away from the ozone layer, it cannot. It doesn't go away completely. A part of that remains in the ozone layer, and that's why we get warmer and warmer air on Earth. So let's see what's going on right now in Europe. Something really horrible is happening almost everywhere in Europe. And here, for example, you have the case of France. Here you can see 41 Celsius degree, 40 for other part, and now this heat wave is traveling toward other parts of Europe, from the Western Europe into Central Europe, right? So now we have it in France, in Germany, in Spain, right? And it's going toward Hungary, planned Czech Republic, Slovakia, and we are going to have a lot of damages over there. These temperatures are not that much high compared to other countries. In Iran, for example, you have some parts of Iran in the southern part of Iran, or in the Persian Gulf country, Arab countries like Kuwait, for example, you have sometimes something between 50 to 52 or 3 Celsius degree. So relatively, these are not that much excessive. But let me give you an explanation that can help us to understand why it's unbearable for those who are living in the countries of Europe, like France, for example. We have a very good post here explaining that some people are telling us that Europe is crying at 40 degrees, why we are seeing 46, 47 Celsius degree in Turkey, for example, right? But there are some points that make this comparison, irrelevant. It's not really comparing apples to apples. Why? The first thing, in Europe, you have what this guy is calling daytime torment, which means that in Central and Northern Europe, summer days last something between 18 to 20 hours. So the sun, as it says, barely dips from overhead, leaving soil and buildings exposed to non-stop solar radiation. So we don't have that in other parts of the world, right? So which means that geography doesn't get a chance to cool down. Can you imagine? It says noon, only at noon, which means having the sun in the apex of the sky lasting 9 to 10 hours. In other countries like in Asia or in Middle East, the noon is between 2 to 4 hours. Here is a matter of 9 to 10 hours. That's huge and it's unsupportable. Second point. Loss of the masking effect with very low air pollution, aerosols. In Europe, there is no shield filter sunlight, right? That's one of the particularity of these countries, which means that sunlight hits the body directly and it's most scorching in its most scorching form. That's why the perceived temperature feels so much more aggressive than other countries where effectively there is a kind of aerosols, right? Because of pollution, because of dust, for example, there is a kind of layer of protection. We don't have that in Europe. And I am going to explain what would be the consequences of these geographical particularities. Look at that. Third, homes like thermostats. So buildings in Europe are insulated to keep winter heat inside. So that's why once heat gets in, it doesn't leave for days. Can you imagine that? Because of the architectural specificity of this building in Europe, where usually it's cold, right? So that's the reason once heat gets in, it doesn't leave for days. Without air conditioning infrastructure, homes turn into ovens at night. It's impossible to even breathe normally over there in such a condition. Another reason is humidity and suffocating feeling. It says that a dry 45 degree is more bearable than a humid 35. Right? High humidity in Europe's river and coastal cities blocks the body's ability to cool itself through sweat, accelerating biological breakdown. And at the end, it's talking about meteorological anomaly, which means the high frequency heat waves are completely outside the century-old climate balance in Northern Europe. And that's the most important part of, these 5 points, which means that Europe is experiencing something that cannot really be handled over there, handled by either the material infrastructure or by the specificity of the human body. None of them is prepared for this. So that's why from now on, the European continent is going to embrace a situation for which it was not really prepared, because it was not made, for such a climate. But now the climate of the hot countries, like the African countries or Middle East countries, now it comes to Europe where nothing, neither infrastructure nor the human bodies are ready to handle that. That's why I was talking about a new era. Right? That's why I am talking about the starting of something for which we were not ready, even though it was somehow, to some extent, predicted, but logistically or biologically, nobody was waiting for that. But we have it. We have it, and we don't have any choice in order to avoid it. Right? So let me explain one thing. With what is going on right now as the heat wave, we are going to have a kind of first transformation of Europe. Transformation means becoming something else, but as the continent was a green continent, as we know, the famous green continent, for thousands of years, and we are changing it. We are changing it because of this. Let me show you. Look at this. This is the global carbon emission from fossil fuels between 1900 and 2014. And look at the curve. Look at the jump from here, from the moment Abrahamic capitalism started effectively to industrialize everything, every country, every continent, and sending a huge amount of carbon dioxide, into air, without any calculation for the future, from for the perspective of the coming decades. This is what they did, right? And this is how we got there. And we can see that again. Let me show you here for 1990 to 2024. As you can see, constantly, we were sending more and more carbon dioxide, into the atmosphere, the Earth's atmosphere. And now the damage is done, right? The damage is done in an irreversible point, and there is any chance to reverse that. If we want to reverse it, we have to stop completely sending any amount of carbon dioxide into the air. We know that's impossible. We know that the whole world is functioning only and only thanks to a great part these fossil fuels, right? And from that moment, it's impossible to imagine that how we can stop that. If we can stop it, it means that we have to stop any kind of activity that we have, economic activity, industrial one, production, locomotion, transport, and everything. So imagine that, just for the sake of supposition, imagine that we can do it in a miraculous way. We can do right now, stopping to send any amount of carbon dioxide. What's going to happen? Scientists are telling us nothing is going to happen, at least for something between 15 to 30 years, average, let's say 20, 23, 4 years. Nothing will happen except what we have already done, which means the damage and the backfire of the nature. It is what is happening right now. Let me show you something here. Someone is talking about red extreme heat warning in force as record-breaking June temperatures forecast. Don't forget that. Whatever would be your lifetime, if you are living again for 30, 40, 50, 60, 80 years, I don't know, keep in your mind, keep in your memory the summer of 2026, because this is the entry of this new era where humanity has to experience the climate apocalypse. The guy is telling us 41 Celsius degree in Paris, red alert in the United Kingdom, London melting away during London Climate Week, life-threatening human amplified heat, right? And he said this is just the beginning. Guys, keep in your mind, please. This is just the beginning. It will get worse before potentially getting better. Potentially getting better is just a wishful thinking. Don't forget that. There is no really possibility for doing so, because it's he's saying to return from overshoot, global emissions must decline 50% per year sorry, 5% per year. But I am telling you, if you do so, you are going to have an improvement only and only after between 2 to 3 decades, which means 20 to 30 years, you are going to have the first signs of any improvement. For now, we are set to experience something that we have done 20, 30, 40 years ago, right? So which means that there is no possibility right now to imagine any miraculous solution for that, right? It's impossible really to, get around what we have already done. It's impossible because we have been warned in advance. We have been told beforehand that don't do that, guys. Stop it. We had the opportunity to stop it in 2015, for example, in Paris, right? But we didn't that. And now what we have is just getting worse situation, coming from bad to worse. So the question is, who did that? The whole humanity. Who caused that? What caused it? Abrahamic capitalism is as easy as that. They wanted money in order to create effectively the global supremacist Jewish government across the planet, and this is what they get, right? Now, it's needless to say that from now on, as the victims of Abrahamic capitalism, we have just to be with that. We have just to go through it. Of course, everything that we can do, we have to do, we must do, whatever it is, as individual or collective actions in order to reduce that, to improve the situation, of course. But as far as I know, there is no really any quick solution. Right, so that's why improving the situation, the climate situation, would be a kind of a fight, an uphill battle. Seriously, that would be extremely difficult, extremely hard. One reason is that it's too late. We had this opportunity 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, and we missed all these opportunities, one after another. And now what we have is just everything is set to, to fall completely over our head. Everywhere, through the earthquake, floods, droughts, extreme weather events, extreme rainfall, hurricanes, wildfire, and so on and so on. So that's why I would like to invite you at the end to think about, let's say, another angle, which is that when you let a kind of disease in your body without treating it just at the beginning, it becomes something that we cannot really control anymore. And I'm talking about the Zionism as the cancer, because Zionism is what created effectively the Abrahamic capitalism, and Abrahamic capitalism is what caused all this disaster we are talking about. Cancer is here. Look at this. These are the Israelis setting up outdoor screens to stream and cheer as entire Lebanese towns are wiped to rubble by the IDF. So when you have the people like this, This is a demonstration of what we can call the cancer of humanity. When you have the people who are cheering and enjoying watching the civilization, a kind of civilization wiping out, getting destroyed, getting bombed. Of course, you don't have any chance to survive. I am telling you. When humanity let these kind of people being born and then growing up and becoming effectively a kind of nation, state nation, and I don't know if they are really a nation state or not, but an entity, the Zionist entity. And the Zionist entity started to dominate effectively United States, capitalism, Western Europe, and everything. The cancer was spreading out, and we were watching. We were watching, like here, for example. Look at what they are doing to South America. One after another, with the participation of the Abrahamic capitalism, a combination of Israel and the United States. They are getting control of the different countries, Venezuela, Colombia, recently, just 2 days ago, Ecuador, Peru, Bolivia, Paraguay, Uruguay, Argentina, and Chile, right? So, as you can see, the cancer is spreading out in the body of humanity, and the climate apocalypse I am talking about is just one of the subsequent effect of this Abrahamic capitalism cancer, right? So can we do anything about it? Of course, always there is solution, but we have to think about that. We have to be active. We have to mobilize as much as possible, as many people as possible, so that we can have effectively a kind of human resistance. Because what they are doing, this cancer, the Zionist cancer, is planning, designing, and preparing everything in order to get rid of the, human species. Right? And as members of this species, we have to defend effectively ourselves. And defending means being active. Any kind of activity, any kind of action that you can have, so that we can create a civil resistance movement in order to stop effectively this Zionist insanity, this Zionist craziness. They are very, very close to put an end to life on Earth. And I am telling you, the starting of summer 2026 is the starting of the climate apocalypse. Maybe I am wrong, I don't know, but as someone who works on this topic specifically, I can tell you that the apocalypse is here. That's why I will try to put a title like Climate Apocalypse Now for this video. Thank you very much for watching. I hope that you can help me to spread the word out. Thank you.